tutti a tutti, and welcome to another edition of Italian America Long Island. My name is Dave Anthony Ducati. You know, this show likes to honor the Italian heritage of the millions of Americans who hark back to Italy. And today we're going to do something that's very traditional. We're going to visit with Carmine and Sue Soldano as they make their homemade dried Italian sausage. Carmine, welcome to the show. Susan, I want to thank you for having me here to your beautiful home to show us this wonderful process. So, can you tell us a little bit about your Italian heritage, Carmine?
Well, I'm very proud of my Italian heritage. My great-great-grandparents immigrated here in the early 1900s. My grandparents both settled in, both sides of the family settled in Brooklyn. And one of the reasons that I regret that I never learned the Italian language is because my great-great-grandparents came here assimilated with knowing Italian, and then because they assimilated properly, my great-grandparents spoke less Italian, and when it got to my grandparents and my parents, it kind of fizzled out. So that's the only regret I have of my Italian heritage, but all the traditions they brought along with them, I cherish. And one of those traditions is what we did today.
That's great. And how about you? So tell us a little bit about your Italian background.
Okay, both my grandfathers were born in Italy, came over, very different reasons coming over. My maternal grandfather was poor, left very little family, came here to start over. My paternal grandfather was a 16-year-old whose mother said, go visit your uncle, and he came for a visit and never went back because he met my grandmother. So they had two different perspectives coming over here. My maternal side, as Carmine said, you're in America, it's a better life, we learn English, we do it that way. My father's family spoke more Italian, but again, the kids all understood it, the parents and their grandparents, but they didn't pass it down to us. So you do lose the language part of it, but they brought over their traditions, the things, the love of family, the love of being together. Food is a big thing in the Italian world, still is a big thing in our world. So we go from there.
Yes, and I like the points that you made about the assimilation, because Italian Americans, they want to be Americans, and we are, of course, very, very proud Americans of Italian ancestry. And we don't want to lose the ancestry, but we're always aware that we are the proudest Americans that can ever be. So I'd like to ask, the regions that your ancestors came from, do you know the regions in Italy that they came from?
Yes. Actually, I think I misspoke, Dave. I might have said great-great-grandparents. I meant my great-grandparents came over. But they came, my father's side came from an area in Cambria, which is an area in that region of Italy, which is about an hour east of Naples. And my mother's parents were my mother's family side was very easy. They came from Sicily, from Shaka, which was a fishing village. And that family, when they came over to the United States, they settled in Manhattan on Hester Street and were fish peddlers.
So Carmine, an hour east of Naples, does that put them on the coast, or are they in the mountains? Do you know?
No, they were in the mountains.
In the mountains, in Basilicata?
In that area, yes.
That's where my ancestors are from.
Oh, okay.
From San Fede in Basilicata, near Potenza.
I don't know the exact village, but it was a very small village, which today I believe is very lightly populated.
Okay, well, I'm getting excited about that. I'm going to have to look into that. How about your folks?
My grandfather, my mother's father, was from Naples, a surrounding area. You don't ask me a specific city, I'm not sure. My father's father was from Sicily, Agrigento, I want to say. If I'm saying it right, I'm probably saying it incorrect. So we both came from mixed marriages because, you know, the Italians and Sicilians in Italy did not always get along. But here, it was a different...
Right, here we're all Italian.
That was it.
But people don't know that Sicilians consider themselves a separate country.
Yes.
Right, so that's wonderful. So today you're making something that's very traditional. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're making for us?
Okay, well, today we're going to make what we call our homemade Italian dried sausage. And this was something that my grandmother used to make years ago to facilitate the making of another recipe which was for Easter, the Easter pie. And many Italian families out there have different names for the Easter pie. Our family called it, as my grandmother would say, and I don't have her accent, pizzeghina. But some families call it pizza rustica, some just call it Easter pie. But it's that big, thick pie that you're used to having on Easter with all the meats and cheeses that everybody loves the taste of. And it cost you a fortune if you had to go buy it in the store today. And probably not as good. So one of the secret ingredients to our pizzeghina is this Italian dry sausage. Believe it or not, it makes a difference whether you use just any sausage or this homemade recipe. It really adds the flavor to the Easter pie. Not that the Easter pie is not good with your sausage, because it's delicious with all that ricotta and cheese and all the other meats in there. But this really adds a distinct flavor to the pie, and that's why we go through the trouble every year of making and curing this sausage.
Now, thank you, Carmine. Susan, it's his family's recipe.
His family's
but
recipe.
They shared it with you willingly.
My mother-in-law does not want recipes lost. She spent a lot of time putting recipes onto the computer, and a program that we all have. Her 3 sons, my son who's married has it, and everybody has copies of her recipes because she does not want recipes to be lost.
Beautiful.
And
thing.
she is thrilled that we do it because nobody else does it. She doesn't even do it anymore. So she's thrilled that we still do it. And whether it goes to the next generation, can't tell you if they'll ever do it, but they'll have the recipes and the knowledge of how to do it if they ever want to try it.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. Well, let's go to the kitchen and make the dried sausage.
Hi, my name is Carmine Soldano.
And I'm Sue Soldano.
We're both from the Costantino Barbini Lodge, Sons of Italy, in Deer Park, New York. And this morning, we're going to show you how to make a homemade Italian sausage recipe, which is a tradition in our family.
The recipe, the sausage that we're making, gets dried, and we use it to make the Easter pie, which is known as pizzeghina, pizza rustica, a lot of different variations on recipes. This happens to be his mom's recipe.
And this really originated from my grandmother. Years ago, it's easier today with all the modern devices we have today, but years ago, when the grandmother was in the kitchen, or your mother was in the kitchen all day, they actually cut up the pork by hand in 1-inch strips and actually mixed everything by hand. It was a tedious job, and they actually stuffed the sausage casings by hand.
We have managed to simplify it, modernize it, and make it easier.
As far as the sausage casings go, they're available today online, actually, at Amazon. We have, there are different size casings, but for this purpose, we're using hard casings. There are smaller casings that you might be familiar with. I don't know what animal they come from, but they're like for the breakfast sausage. And there's larger casings that we use in our typical Sunday.
Okay, these are hog casings. Yes, they come from the pig. That's what we put on the outside of, that's what we stuff the sausage with. And because they are preserved in sauce, we just have to rinse through it and let them soak a little bit before we use them. They stay permanently, they're long shelf life. Just have to add a little more kosher salt to it when we put them back in the refrigerator if I have to return any of them. So with this recipe, we have to make up a spice mix. I did it last night, but it includes kosher salt, paprika, red pepper that I crush up, black pepper, cayenne, fennel. Fennel is crushed up as well as whole in there. And I said, we've learned how to make it a lot easier. I no longer have to sit here and cut up everything to do it. I've learned how to talk to the butcher and they grind the pork for me. So, after I mix up the spice mix, it's about 1 tablespoon of seasoning per pound of meat. I have probably just under 4 pounds here. So this is ground pork butt. You want the pork butt because it has a lot of fat in it. Yeah, you need the fat in this. This is one of those things where you don't cut away the fat. So I'm always very generous with the spices. I always do heaping tablespoons. And this will stay. I keep it like this, and if we're doing something else or I have ground meat or something, we can just add to it and we can make spiced up burgers or whatever.
It's imperative that when you purchase your pork butt, whatever butcher you use, that you, as Sue said, that you make sure that they leave a good amount of fat there, because the fat is what gives the sausage the flavor. The fat is what gives all meat flavor, but if he takes all the fat out, the sausage is not going to taste right. The pork butt, we usually look for it on sale around February, and the reason why we usually make this in February, the end of March, we try to time it with Easter. It takes approximately 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the weather, for the sausage to dry and cure. And then when it's cured, we use that sausage as an ingredient for, as Sue said, in the Easter pie. So that's why we try to time it. I make as she's mixing that, I make a rack in my garage. My garage is crystal clean, it's like a room, it's finished. I make a rack and I hang the sausage in the garage for weeks. I make sure that the garage is at a constant 40, 42 degrees, almost like a walk-in refrigerator during that time of the year, and I monitor it. If for any reason the weather gets unusually warm, I'll just take the sausage down as it's curing and put it on racks in the refrigerator, and that will solve that problem. But generally, it works out good at that time of the year.
You have to, you can start putting.
Okay. All right, what I'm going to do here now is, before I even set this up, this is a KitchenAid mixer with a KitchenAid, what they call sausage stuffer attachment. This is a combination sausage stuffer grinder. We're not using the grinder today because Sue had the butcher grinder meat. So we're just using the sausage stuffer. If you notice this funnel, years ago they had the hand funnels, and that's what I refer to as my grandmother used to stuff it by hand. But now we have the convenience of doing, using the KitchenAid mixer. It took hours and hours years ago, and what you're going to see is you can do this whole job, 5 pounds of meat, less than half an hour. So I'm going to take the stuffing, the casings are soaked now, and it's a little finesse here to get the opening right. But you want to, I put the bowl under here so it doesn't drip. You want to find the opening and work the opening on the edge of the sausage stuffer cone. And then what I do is,
They're long.
they're long. These are long casings, and we can make them any size we want, but we get the whole casing on there and determine how big we want to make it as we're stuffing it. So I'm working the casing on the funnel. Takes a little doing depending on how long they're soaked and what type of casings.
You have to go slow so you don't put a hole in it either,
Right.
because then the sausage, the meat will come out and you have to start over.
Right, and we've done that before. But what's nice about these is you just cut them, tie them, and you start again. Okay.
These
This is
happen
a
to be.
long, oh, see, now it's going on nice. It takes a while to get started. Now, what I've learned over the years is I always try to maximize everything I'm using, so I always try to cut everything close. It doesn't even pay, because when you cut it close, you start breaking things, and it's not even worth the trouble. So I'm gonna leave on about a couple of inches here. And what we're gonna do now is, I take this string and I tie the end. So there's a stop where the sausage gets stuffed into the casing. And obviously this is gonna be also used to hang the sausage eventually, if you do hang it, which I do. Okay, so I got this tied. I'm just gonna clip this just to make it a little neat. Okay, so that's tied. Now what's gonna, I'll be ready
I'm
now?
ready.
Okay, so now we have
This
the,
is the mixed meat,
the
I'm
mixed-
short, so
the
I
mixed
have.
pork is here with all the seasoning, and we are now going to put it into the mixer. When we start, I'm gonna show you, you have to play it by ear and see how it's going, but once it goes, it's fine. Okay. There's also different speeds on the KitchenAid. I start out slow until I get it going, and then I adjust the speed. So Sue is gonna stuff it in there, and now I'm gonna carefully monitor this. As you notice, there's air pushing into the casing. So I take a toothpick and I punch 1 or 2 holes just so the air comes out. Now you can see the sausage coming in. Now I gotta play this, and you gotta go very gently. You wanna get the sausage in there tight, but you don't want it so tight that you're gonna make a hole in the casing. So now I'm gonna adjust the speed a little bit. You will find maybe some small air gaps in there. There's no problem with that. You just want to make sure that you maneuver this. Try to tighten it and watch her as she's putting the fork in there so it doesn't come out too fast and break the casing. The casings are pretty strong. I'm making more of an issue out of that than it really is. I'm just trying to explain all the possibilities. Now you can make these as long as you want. I usually make them about 15 to 18 inches, and I put this, you'll see I tie off the other side, and then I hang them from both sides. Now if you feel you're going good and you want to speed it up, you can always increase the speed on the mixer, but I'm just going to keep it at this speed for today. And you want, whoever you're doing this with, you want to make sure you're working together. I'll tell her when I'm just about done. I want her to stop. You also want to make sure you hold the weight of the sausage so it doesn't break. You may have to move some of the casing off the cone. Sometimes it doesn't move itself. It's just a matter of using some finesse and playing with it. It's something that you're just going to adjust it to as you do it. Each one is different for you. So this is working out pretty well. Like I said, you don't have to use the entire length of the casing. You cut it off and you can just tie it off there and start again. Now I'm going to tell Sue to stop. This will come towards the end. Okay, you can shut it. Alright, now what we're going to do is, I'm going to take a string.
You have this one.
On your right.
Oh, it's over here, okay. I never cut it. You want to hold this for a second? Actually, I left the string on there because I'm making a loop to hang it. So that's why I did that. So I'm going to take the string. I didn't cut the string from the other end because I'm going to tie this off now. And you can do this any way you want. You can just leave the string cut completely on both ends. I make this tight. Don't be afraid to break the casing because you're going to break it there anyway. I make a couple of dots. I'll cut this. I'll cut the casing. These scissors are used for food only. And now you have, I just wanted to show you, now the way I made that is, this will get hung from the loop. Also, I want to comment on the casing. I just want you to be aware of the size of the casing. Earlier I told you there's different size casings. There's the breakfast sausage casing, there's the large casing we use. This is the, this looks like it may almost be the size for your meat sauce, but it's not. When this cures, it's going to shrink. It's going to shrink pretty considerably to a perfect size, but that's what it looks like before it's cured.
So we've learned our tricks over the year. We did try the first year getting the pork and grinding it ourselves, mixing with it. It was crazy. We had a lot of problems with it. It just wasn't worth it. The next year when he said he was going to try it again, and I rolled my eyes, I said, I'm going to ask the butcher if they'll grind it. And we've gone through a number of different places where we've gotten the pork butt. And usually when I tell them what I'm doing, they laugh, they grind it, and they have no problem. And we do tell them, we want the fat in it. And they're like, you really want the fat? I said, we want the fat. So what we're doing now has been my way of coming up with, let's simplify this because I was working, who had time, we would do this during my spring break, I taught, and I really didn't want to spend 8 hours. So we have learned how to make it friendly for the world we live in.
And easier. Because we didn't want to do without that homemade sausage and that homemade taste in the Easter pie. So this was our solution.
Do you want to cut that piece?
Okay, again, the start is usually the toughest part. And I don't really see the air pockets in this, so I'm not going to puncture anything.
If this was ground really well.
No, I'm talking about
No, but I think this meat itself was ground better than we've had it ground other places.
Also, depending on the speed that you put the mixer on, that might form even more air pockets, but this is working out really well today. So I'm going to increase the speed here. As you can see, once you get used to how to do this, and you increase the speed, you can knock out a good amount of links within the half hour, 45 minutes. That's with a great assistant.
We've done 10 pounds in the past. We don't do that much anymore.
So again, I'm going to tie this off.
So we do use it for Easter pie, but we also use it as part of our antipasta. I cut it up, pull the casing off.
Yeah, then when this is cured, it looks perfect. It looks like a beautiful superside, which, like Sue said, you could slice it up thin and use it like an appetizer. We're going to cut here. And again, you tie those knots right, and you don't make them too heavy.
He needs glasses.
Do you need your
It's hard to
glasses?
find them. So I have a question. Could you tell us, Sue, you made 4 pounds of meat?
This is about 4 pounds.
And so how many pastetas do you make?
Where are your glasses?
Right there.
It's, dried sausage is only one part of it. I'll end up making like 5 or 6 of them. And we'll use probably one whole thing, maybe a little piece of another one, because I said we have to have some for the antipasta. When I do the pie recipe, I have this huge bowl from his grandmother, a wash tub kind of thing, and we chop up everything, but it involves a lot of cold cuts, a lot of cheeses, cheese in a basket, ricotta, mozzarella. So there's a lot of ingredients in the version that they do. That too, I'm not thrilled about rolling out pie crust, so I'll do half of them with his mother's pie crust recipe, which is a pepper crust, which is really delicious. It does make a difference, but I will cheat and use store-bought.
One full air pocket. And again, I believe the air comes from the force of the mixer.
The machine becomes a tester patty that we cook.
Right, of course you're not going to get this all out, so what Sue's saying is when we clean the rest of the pork out, we'll just fry it up in the frying
So
pan.
many, you know, cutting, and I make them a little longer because they work out great. But here's another sample. I'm gonna just trim
So
this
we've
clean.
done 10 pounds, which is like 6 or 8 of the long links. It takes a while.
So this size, I said sometimes there's breakage, you'll find out when you're hanging it, that one side will break. This size will never break because it's lighter. And these will be all right too. I've made them real long and I learned from my mistake. Okay. So here we have 3 links we made today.
I can remember when I was a kid, my family used to go to the Nassau Farmers Market in Bethpage every Friday night. Why? Because they had the finest Italian salumeria that you could find in all of Nassau County. They had every Italian specialty that you could ever want, and it was all in one place. And my dad used to buy an entire log of Genoa salami and loaves of Italian bread, delicious Italian bread. And as soon as we got home, the first thing that we would do would be to make an Italian sandwich with salami and Italian bread, the most delicious I've ever had. The ancient Romans made salami, but what is it? It's pork meat that's ground up with plenty of salt added. Sometimes you can add black pepper, you can add garlic, you can add fennel, but you must have pork fat in it. You stuff all of this into pig intestines and you air dry it for 30 days and you have a delicious salami. There are hundreds of kinds of salamis, and every region of Italy has its own. In Lombardia, they're famous for the Brianza. Veneto is famous for its Veneto salami. In Piemonte, they have a salami called Duja. Emilia-Romagna is famous for its salami felino, a very delicious salami indeed. Liguria is famous for its salami genovese di Sant'Olcese, while in Tuscany, people love finocchiona. In Umbria, they're eating the corallina, while in the Marche region, they're wild about the Fabriano. Abruzzo produces the Ventricina, and of course, in Napoli, they make salami napoletana. One of the oldest known salamis comes from Sicily. It's the salami di Sant'Angelo in Brolo. So why eat salami at all? Thousands of years ago, people discovered that adding large amounts of salt to meat prevented it from spoiling. It could be eaten long after the animal was butchered. Not only that, but a cut salami could be stored at room temperature for up to 40 days. By grinding the meat and stuffing it into a sausage, all parts of the animal could be used. Many people would recoil at the thought of eating pork tongue or other less appetizing parts of the animal, but those parts could be ground up and innocuously served in a delicious sausage or salami. In today's world, many associate salt, fat, and meat with an unhealthy diet. However, in regulated amounts, these primary ingredients of salami are all absolutely necessary for good health. As the Italians say, salame e pane, salami and bread, the simplest of meals, but ironically, some of the finest eating you will ever do. Buon appetito!